Why did it take me this long to think of this? Earlier I was about to say, if it's Thursday and you know it, clap your hands. And then I realized, as a child, I should have thought of this. If you're happy and you know it, crap your pants. Why does that make me so happy? And you know it. Crap your pants. Welcome to Adjust Your Shorts. My name's Ray, and I'm happy, and I know it. Adjust Your Shorts, that's that little program where you pull your shorts up to a brand new level so you can prepare to get kicked in the dick with the news as only reported to you by me from the internet. Brought to you by the internet. Today is Thursday, June Cinco. Closing in on halfway through 2025, which is amazing. It is absolutely incredible to me how fast the years go by these days. But without further ado, let's jump into the news. First up, The Guardian, one of my favorites. The Guardian gets a regular go fuck yourself from me. Let's see what it wants us to think today. Trump travel ban includes exemption for World Cup and Olympic athletes. Something I found was interesting about this article is that they don't actually include anything about why he is instating the travel ban all of a sudden. But it did want to tell us that, don't worry, your sports are safe. So I Googled, why is Trump reinstating or instating a travel ban? And the claim is citing national security concerns. The White House states that the ban is necessary to protect the United States from terrorist attacks and other national security threats. And the 12 countries on the no-fly list now, I don't know if it's actually no-fly list or if it's just a travel ban. I don't know how it works, but are in order of importance, let's say. Afghanistan, Myanmar, Burma, Chad, the Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, which I've never heard of, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. Partial restrictions are also in place for 7 other countries: Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. So I guess these are all dangerous, real dangerous. I don't like the fact that they're cutting people off to us unless it's for actual anti-terrorism. Because I definitely feel like if you want to control, what do you do in a relationship? If you want to control them, you do what I do to my girl. You put her in a room and you don't let her out. You tell her, you're not allowed to go out and talk. You can't meet anybody. No fun for you. No, but there is an MO for abusive relationships, I think. At least that's what I saw on TV. I was never told in person by a counselor that you isolate people. And so hopefully they're not isolating us. Moving on, NPR. Supreme Court decides with straight Ohio woman who claimed workplace discrimination. Now, is she a straight woman or is she a straight woman? I'm just saying. According to the article, I read it, this woman says she sued Ohio because she was overlooked due to DEI hiring practices where less qualified candidates were given the job because they were gay or colorful. Can we say that? What about that one? Can we say colorful? Oh no, it's Juneteenth and I'm about to go back on stage. Okay, moving on. New York Times, Xi and Trump hold call, China says. I love this because Trump states that it's not important. Who calls who's not important. Doesn't even matter, not a little bit. Sounds like something the guy who made the call would say. Guess they had a 90-minute call talking about trade. Trump says it was a very good call. I say, you know what? If you haven't noticed, this is a flamethrower right up here. We're going to go ahead and pump up this flamethrower because, boy, that sounds like gaslighting. All right, moving on. Questions swirl over who's running the CDC. And what they're calling into the big illustration here is RFK Jr. with a CDC behind him. But he's not running the CDC. He's running the NHS, which communicates with the CDC. I don't know if he actually is supposed to appoint the doctor, but it begs the question because they're trying to show him in a poor light. Obviously, it's what they're trying to do. One thing I want to remind anybody and everybody who, if you haven't listened, if you have listened, one thing that he has accomplished so far is he has, well, they're supposed to stop putting food dyes in our food that are made from petroleum because they're made with harmful chemicals that give you, they're toxins, they're carcinogens. It's known. There's no reason for our food to be colorful. Just make it taste good. Holy cow. So that's one great thing that he has done. And then I Googled who was running it during the pandemic, and there were two different people running it, Robert R. Redfield, Dr. Redfield, and Dr. Rochelle P. Walensky. Nobody remembers those names. All we remember is Fauci. And the reason I Googled that was just to see, like, is it important? Was Fauci running the CDC? He was not, but he was answering to Fauci. So whomever you put in place to run the CDC, they're basically going to be doing what you say. So let's just go ahead and say RFK Jr. is in charge. And if he can get the, you know what? Let's just say this. So far, he's going after the food. He has been vocal about getting rid of toxic products in the water, fluoride namely. And he also has mentioned the aerosol in the air that's coming out of the jet fuel. Clean up the air, water, and food. These are the things that we use to fuel our systems. If you look at us like mechanical beings, which we are, biologically mechanical, we consume things and exude others, and it powers our system. No different than your car. You need to take in clean air. Your car needs to take in clean air. If it takes in dirty air, it doesn't function correctly. It needs to have clean water. Now, your car doesn't need that, but it needs clean gasoline. If it doesn't have clean fuel, it doesn't run correctly. So this guy is basically addressing systemic, excuse me, issues. He's going after the fundamentals of health. And I just want to remind us that whatever you think of him, what he's trying to do is clean up the things that you put in your body. Now that's a good thing. I'm going to go ahead and say, you get a attaboy. Attaboy. No, go fuck yourselves. Okay, moving on. OpenAI takes down covert operations tied to China and other countries. The reason I read this is obviously it looks from the headline like AI is taking down some operatives. But really, if you read the article, all they did was take down some fake bots that are spreading disinformation campaigns on social media. Really took down those operations. I thought they were like, oh shoot, did they find a bank heist? Did they find a sinister effort to, did they thwart some operation to invade? No, it's, you know what it is? It's this, the computer's looking out for the computer and we're looking out for the computer. It's a lot of time. We spend so much time looking out for the computers. We make time for screen time. The latest average, I think, was 8 hours a day. And that's for, I mean, obviously people who work in tech, they're going to tilt that scale in that direction. But shoot, look at your phone's screen time. You got it under control? Tell me if it's less than an hour, 1 hour. Because I think that, you know, most of us would say that's probably reasonable. In fact, that's a lot of time. When you add it up, it's 365 hours a year, which is, what's 365 divided by 12? 12 times 12 is 144. times 2 is 288. So that's 24 days at 288 hours. So somewhere like 30 days out of a year you spend looking at your phone. That's more than most people get for vacation in the United States. Moving on, something I thought was kind of cool. Buried under 2 kilometers of Antarctic ice, scientists find a 34 million year old lost world. Now, at first glance, I was like, shit, is that a city? And then it's like, oh, wait, 34 million. No, they're just looking at untouched dirt because it's been under permafrost as the globe heats up. And don't even get us started on global warming. Yes, it's warming. We really don't know enough about any of it to say why or how. Moving on, CNBC, Trump directs probe into Biden's use of auto pen. Biden says policy decisions were his. Sure they were. This doddering old man who they were freezing, I'm pretty sure they were just keeping him in a cryo chamber and then waking him up and like smacking him on the face. And that's why he looked like that, because he wasn't totally thawed out yet as he stumbled out on stage trying to remember what year it is. I mean, shit. AutoPen is crazy. If you're the president, you better at least be able to sign a paper. If you can't sign a paper, you can't be the president. You can't lead the country. Sorry, bud. CNN. Japan's annual birth rates fall to record low as population emergency deepens. I don't even have to read that to tell you for us to all understand what that means. Now, there's a second one. Vietnam scraps 2-child policy as aging threatens economic growth. So the world's population is finally stabilizing. Let's just call it stabilizing, because there are still more people alive. It's just that the curve is starting to hit. Now, one thing that I want to bring to bear about this idea, because the idea is bigger than just a flagging population. What it says is the population is the middle class, the lower and the middle class. That's us. That's the working class Joes. And what we're saying is the disparity of wealth has moved so far to the top that we aren't going to play your game of succession. The game of succession for us has nothing to do with billions of dollars. That's for the upper crust. The game of succession for us has to do with, am I going to birth someone into this world so that they can struggle for a life of lower middle class? Do you hear me? The answer is no, and this is how we fight back. I know it's not a popular idea. I think about having kids all the time. I want to have kids. One of the main arguments for me is I don't feel economically stable enough to do it because of the way the game is rigged, that all the money siphons right to the top. They have everything. We have barely enough, and they tell us that's good. That's good for you. And guess what? We can fight back by not having children, because guess what they need? The they that they are need people, because when you've got all the money, the next thing on the list is power. Well, we can take the power back. And it's not on purpose. It's a market bear, actually. You know what? You can look at it as a sign of an economic market bear. What the market will bear is, how much can I charge for this product? At a certain amount, the product is no longer something that someone is willing to pay for. So you have to bring the cost down. So quit your spending, quit your insanity. It is crazy to me that Doge has a bad name in government. Finally, someone looking at what they're... The only thing I want is a receipt. Show me receipts for what you're spending my money on when you charge me taxes, and then we'll decide what I think should be charged. But they don't show you that. No receipts. So we have somebody in there looking at the receipts and everybody cries foul because you can't see the forest for the trees. Moving on. Trump's tariffs have so far caused little inflation. Correct. And here's why. Inflation is caused by economic growth. You don't want your economic growth to be too large. If the growth profile, if the graph looks too much like this and not enough like this, that's when inflation runs away. That's when the disparity between those who have and those who have not really expands. One of the tools that they use is interest rates to slow down economic growth, which literally causes recession, or if you're a mechanic, retardation of the economy. And I do mean you either advance or retard the timing. So one way to slow your inflation is by slowing down the economy. We don't need to buy all these things. Okay? Moving on. Dead Sea Scrolls mystery deepens as AI finds manuscripts to be much older than thought. I just love this article because it should say than previously thought. Because the way that they wrote it is the manuscripts are older than thought itself. And that just made me happy. So let's get into some good news. Cool stuff. Formerly incarcerated men craft tables designed by women in prison. Okay? So was it designed by women in prison? Or, formerly incarcerated men are designing tables by women who are incarcerated. Currently incarcerated. To benefit them when they get out. Oh yeah, that reminds me, I saw a crazy, the one thing that TikTok does do for me is it shows me cabinet, House meetings and Senate meetings. And I absolutely love them. One senator was advocating for the inmates to be paid minimum wage. So all I got to do is go to prison to get minimum wage, health benefits, and a retirement plan? Go fuck yourself. This was great. New York building proves ice is nice for staying cool. This is awesome. What this says is a New York City building that is difficult to keep cool because it's an old ass building. They didn't have as good of insulation and they didn't understand the thermodynamics nearly as well. What they're doing is they're making ice at night with the ice machines. Now this is wasting a little bit of water, but they got lots of water in New York City. And it's putting fresh water into the recirculating water. It's not a bad thing. It actually will freshen up the water a little bit. But you make ice when the power is cheap and it's cool overnight. And then during the day, you offset the AC by blowing air across the ice block and sending that to the rooms. This is genius. This is absolutely genius. I love it. You get an attaboy, whatever New York City high-rise that is. Okay, one man in Southwest India. Why did I want to read that as Southeast Asia? Southwest India taught 10,000 people to swim for free in a river to end drownings. And all I can think is, learning to swim is free. All you got to do is find some water. Figure it out. Smoking rates fall to lowest ever, led by our young people and changing culture. And all I want to say is, nice job on that one. Go us. Go humanity. I love that we do have a little bit of power. We can talk back to the overlords by not smoking their cigarettes, by not eating their petroleum, by learning to swim. And if you're happy and you know it, crap your pants. Okay, this has been fun for me. I hope you have enjoyed it as well. And as always, pull your shorts back down to their normal levels. Consider yourselves kicked in the dick, and we will see you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye.